Hey everybody, and welcome to the channel. I'm Todd, and this is Sweet Tea Guitars. Alright you guys, we left off in the last video for the ultimate Telecaster build. I have my neck in this shape right here. I've got my preliminary draw out done on this neck blank. My truss rod slots cut, our fretboard slotted and ready to lay out. I'm really anxious to get back into this build. So what I really want to do is avoid this little mark in the fretboard right there. We'll make the center line directly in the center of this blank, and that should give us plenty of room on either side. There's our center line drawn on there, so that's good. Okay, I'm splitting the center line in half. Let's draw this thing out. So we're good to go. I can take this over to the bandsaw, cut this out. Before we do that, let's make sure our fret slots are perpendicular to this center line. Yeah, they're perfect. All right, cool. I'm gonna get over to the bandsaw and get these cut out, you guys. Let's switch cameras. Let's do the fretboard first. I'll drop my guide down. What I want to do now is notch out for this truss rod nut. I've got myself a notch cut right here for my truss rod nut. One thing I am going to do, knowing this is a set neck guitar, I am going to expand the width of the heel only. Stacking this heel like this is going to expand that width 8.5 millimeters. That's going to give me more surface area on the sides of this tenon. Another thing that will do is allow me to route the neck pocket just a little deeper, thinning out the bottom of it and solidifying my flow carve that I do from the body to the heel as I do that transition right there. And so that's why I'm doing that on this guitar. I'm going to use Alright you guys, we're going to cut the notch in the end of this fretboard just on the notch area though, because I want to preserve all the width. We're going to use the actual neck to cut the perimeter shape of this fretboard. Alright. There's my notch, and I've left those two ends right here. We'll sort those out later. Alright you guys, let's get this headstock cut. So I've got my fretboard clamped down. We need to drill a couple of alignment pin holes down through a couple of the fret slots, one down here on this side, away from the center but not too close to the edge either. This is a 2mm drill bit. I'm going to take some super glue, just a dab. All right, I'm going to take some of this Moly JV8 aluminum silicone sealant. All right, that's perfect. Very, very little. And I like to keep that off the surface right here because nothing sticks to silicone. I think I'm going to take the truss rod slot too, just to keep any excess glue out of there. All right. We got squeeze out all the way down. We're in good shape. I've taken my neck out of clamp right now. My fretboard's nice and stably glued on. I've checked this with a straight edge. We're perfectly flat as it stands right now. So I've decided that I'm not going to bind this fretboard. What I am going to do, however, is I'm going to take this piece of maple that I cut from a top that I had in here, and I'm going to take 3 pieces of veneer, 2 pieces of dyed black poplar, 1 piece of curly maple, and I am going to stack this heel, and then we'll carve everything up. I know my camera's a little bit foggy right now. That'll go away eventually. It's cold, or it was cold in here, and I fired up the heater so everything's condensating. That'll clear up. Anyway, this neck is turning out absolutely killer. I'm going to sand these and make sure I've got a nice flat surface. So let's grab ourselves a sanding block. I've got 180 grit on this sanding block right here. And I don't want to go overboard. I just want to knock any burrs off or anything like that that may inhibit a good glue up. How I'm going to orient this stuff is I'm going to do a black, white, black. Stacked heel. All right, you guys, before we go any further, and while my neck's over there drying where I glued up that heel, we need to get this top jointed and glued up and let that dry for a couple of hours is all we need. Then we're going to attach this top to the body. Let's get on this right now. I've got my shooting board out. I've got my number 6 hand plane, which is freshly sharpened. I want to leave myself about a 1/2 inch of overhang, or at least a 1/4 inch. You don't want to be planing off the side of your shooting board. And as I get about halfway down, I start to apply that pressure to the back. And what I look for is that right there. I want to know that I'm taking a clean shaving the whole way down. So before we move to the other one, I'm going to take my 16-inch crimson leveling beam, same thing, and I'm just going to sand that joint. That's my 180 side, then my 220 side. Trying to keep the pressure on my hand, you know, in this area right there. If I start to go too far this way, I take a chance on sanding a hump into my top. So I like to keep it right in that area. We'll check it. That looks pretty dang straight to me. Let's move to this other side. And I'm already taking a full shaving. 180 first. 220. Oh yeah, that looks glorious. Slide it back and forth just a little, create that bond and that vacuum. Squeeze it together, stretch your tape, and let the tape pull the joint together. There we go, you guys. In about 2 hours, we'll pop this top off this granite and we'll glue it to the body. This has been drying for about 3 hours now, so I feel completely confident that we're safe to take these clamps off. So there we are. So now I've got that stacked heel, and what I'll do is I'll clean all this up back here, but we're going to flush trim this over on the router table using our existing neck as the template. All right, you guys, so there we go. Flush cut, at least up to this point. We're going to work on this and get this corner sanded off where I was afraid to take it across the router table. So let's get that done. This is 180 grit on this block. Let's mark out a center line on this thing. So there's where my top needs to go, exactly where it's at. We'll spread some glue and get this done. All right, you guys, so we got our top glued on the body at this point. That thing needs to dry overnight. We got our fretboard sorted out, our neck perimeter shapes routed. In the next episode, what we're gonna get done is I'll get the headstock thickness down, we'll shape the neck, I'll get the heel transition sorted out and at least started. We'll get the headstock transition done as well on the back of the neck. We're gonna get the fretboard radius and get that neck ready to have frets put in it. We're also going to get the neck pocket routed. That's pretty much going to cover the next episode. And I hope you guys are enjoying the build so far. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Don't forget to head over to Gio's channel, Tornella Guitars, here on YouTube. Make sure you give Gio a subscribe and a like. I'll see you guys next weekend for the next episode in the Ultimate Telecaster Build. And until then, as always, peace and love.